Hey, how's it going, folks? Welcome to another anime figure event coverage video. We just talked about Mega Hobby, but today we're going to be talking about Wonder Festival 2024 Shanghai. I completely forgot that this was a thing. I don't think I've ever made a video for the Shanghai Wonder Festivals, but we're doing it this time. There was actually quite a lot at this event, some pretty good stuff too, but here's the real kicker. I've already recorded this video and I'm doing it again because I wanted to get this out as fast as possible, but the next day there was like 50 more figures shown off, so the video was a mess, wasn't worth putting out, so we're here once more. Fine by me, my decision, but we do have a lot to get through. I guess we'll start off with Good Smile Company. They were actually in attendance, about 20 figures or so, but most of them were actually quite good, in my opinion. Also, no comments that I look tired in this video, no comments about needing a haircut, because I know, alright? Trust me, I know, but we ain't got time for that. So, Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine are getting Nendos from Cowboy Bebop. We've seen these announced in the past, but they're both fully painted and ready to go. I think Spike looks a little generic, but definitely not bad. Like, I like the eye shape, but I think the art style could look maybe slightly better. And Faye's eyes just look really big to me. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks that. I do like the choice of gold they went with for the outfit. I think it's a neat choice, even though they could have just went with like a yellow instead, but I like the gold at least on this Nendo. We had Kirigiri from Danganronpa, which is nice to see. There's a lot of these Danganronpa Nendos now, but you needed Kirigiri at some point. Kyoko, we needed her, and we're finally getting her Nendo. We also had Aura the Guillotine getting her prototype. She looks fantastic. Like, this is a pretty detailed character design, right? There's a lot going on with the outfit, the hair. You got the scale, of course, her most iconic ability. It just looks really on point for a little Nendo. I think it's great. And then we had Ame-chan from Needy Girl Overdose, which you know I'm buying. I like this one a lot. I think they chose a great faceplate to show this one off too. Though, they better give me something unhinged with her, or I'll be very upset. In fact, I might not even want it at that point. But it is definitely shaping up very nicely. We had a Nendo of Hinasaki Miku from Fatal Frame, just the prototype. There was one for Neon from Goddess of Victory at Nikkei. Nice to see more of these Nikkei Nendos roll out. There's a lot of figures for this series, even some at this event. But it's nice that we're getting both sides of things, the sexy character designs and the really cute ones because of the Nendoroid form. We had a Nendo of Murasame from Senran Banka. I think this is a visual novel game or something along those lines. Certainly looks like it based on the character design, but she is definitely cute. We got Kiryu from Yakuza. I think, in my opinion, this looks like a little kid cosplaying, but maybe that's just me. It was always going to look a little off. I mean, you're taking a 30 to 55-year-old guy, depending on which game you're playing, and you're making him like, what is it, 4 inches tall, something like that. It just never was going to look exactly right to me, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of endearing that they're even doing this. I like it, but it also doesn't really look like him to me. But it's funny at the end of the day, so it's fine. We have a Blue Lock Nendo of Bachira Meguru. There's a couple of these Blue Lock Nendos so far. I know they usually come with like special bases. I'm assuming he will as well. But one of the bigger Nendo announcements were the next 3, actually, because we're getting 3 more Gintama Nendos. I don't remember seeing these announced ever, though I could be wrong. I could just be forgetting because there's so many figures at these events. But we're getting Hijikata, Okita, and Katsura, which puts us at, I believe, 6 Nendos for the Gintama series. You go back to like 2013, you tell me this was happening, I'd probably be pretty damn excited. I loved that show back in the day. Now this was one completely missed the other day because it wasn't like shown right away, but we have a Nendo of Sunday from Honkai Star Rail, as well as Robin from Honkai Star Rail. In fact, there's some more Honkai figures later on in the video. Like, this series is getting a lot of stuff, more so than Genshin or more so than like Zenless Zone Zero. And then our next Nendo might just be the best one of the bunch. You can argue with me on this, but you're probably wrong. We're getting Garfield, which was announced previously. I think it was just like random on Twitter one day, but he's got his prototype right now. Looking smug, big ass grin, a little fat as he should be. They probably picked the most like iconic look for Garfield for this Nendo, which, you know, there's a couple. The very old one, which they definitely weren't going to do, or the new like 3D movie that came out a couple of months ago, maybe like a year at this point. I would not have liked this Nendo as much if they went with that redesign. That's just me, but, you know, this is undoubtedly Garfield, and I'm sure he'll come with like some lasagna or something. Frankly, I would love to see Otis as well as a Nendo, but maybe that's just a little too weird to happen. I don't know. But we have a couple more Nendos, one from Kingdom Kyokai. I feel like this character had a different name when I read it yesterday, and then one for Diana, which I believe we have another Nendo in the Fluffy Land set. I think it was a black cat instead, something along those lines. It's kind of neat that they're making furry Nendos. We don't have a ton of those. I wouldn't count Garfield in that, but maybe you will. I don't know. Nendoroid Lights, which is basically a Nendo with no accessories. Nothing to get super excited about, but they're making Light Osborne from Light and Night, little pirate guy. As well as Nendoroid Surprise for Bocchi the Rock, which I think is a great idea. Very limited in terms of the characters they're making so far, just sticking with the main cast, the band members, and then if the silhouettes are anything to go by, just extra Hitoris, which is fine, a good idea. You'll get like depressed Bocchi, broken Bocchi, maybe happy Bocchi, I don't know, but like there's definitely more characters they could have pulled from. So I do hope we see those in the future. But we will jump over now to their scale figures, and we're going to start off with one of the biggest figures in this video, bar none. It is a figure of Violet Evergarden, which is nuts that it's finally happening. We have not had a figure of her ever, not counting third party, of course, because there's a lot of those. It's kind of mind-blowing that it took so long. This must have been a heavily requested character. So it just kind of makes me happy, you know? Really wish I had some additional photos of her. If I find them later, I'll put them in the video, but this is the only shot I have of her. I would love to see her face, but unfortunately, we just have this side view, which does look good. Very aggressive billowing on her outfit. I like the umbrella, and the miniature like forest for a base is pretty cute. Definitely very promising. This one's being made by Shanghai. Good Smile Arts Shanghai, as well as ABC Animation. So, I don't know what that's going to mean for the figure, because I've never heard of them put out a figure before. They might just be distributing it. Not sure, but yeah. Now, these two, something about this Senjugahara just looks very precious to me. I wouldn't say this is her best figure or anything, but I really like the colors. I really like her expression. She's like smiling behind the letter, blushing a little bit. Colors are very vibrant on this one. I really like the purple watcher just to match alongside with the art. The mailbox is so vibrantly red. I think it just makes a really nice contrast with her purple hair and the purple skirt, of course. But I don't know, it's not like a complex figure or anything. It's just winning me over with its charm, I suppose. And I've never had a Senjugahara figure, so maybe I would get that one. I'm not sure yet. But then we're also getting a Shinobu Trick or Treat figure, so very Halloween inspired figure. I don't know exactly everything that's going on in this figure. It seems like it's almost entirely made of donuts, right? Not only are there a ton of donuts on her sword, on her wrist, and I think the base itself is a donut with some like candles and strawberries, but you also have Yotsugi, you have Araragi down there. I don't know if they're supposed to be pumpkins. They could be, but they could also just be some kind of sweet or confectionery. Not sure. Shinobu's face looks great. Definitely reminiscent of the anime. I don't know if I love the text on her arm and her like leg. That's not really ever something I like, but her outfit seems kind of like zombie mummy inspired. Not sure. I would say probably zombie would make more sense in this instance, but yeah, it's cute. It's cute and there's a lot going on. It seems very detailed, very elaborate in its sculpting, and I think this one's super promising. So we're on a roll right now. We're going to continue that with our next figure. Here we have Lucia, Crimson Abyss, a 1/7 scale from Punishing Gray Raven. I think she looks sick, and so does the sculpt. I really like how defined her abs are. I like her pants. They look very tight, kind of makes it look like they're made of leather. Her sword, her sheath, I think those look awesome. There's a decent amount of like just accessories hanging off of this figure. Her jacket looks sick, how it's kind of like shot up and tattered a little bit. The gradation into that light blue looks great. And her ponytail is almost making a spiral. I think the sculpt of her hair is excellent. Also, her eye is ignited in blue flame. Even the color of her eye is different. Might as well be Sans at this point because of the way it's designed. But yeah, I think that one's awesome. Now, to Good Smile Company themselves, here we have a new Hatsune Miku figure. This is the Mehwa Sanang version, if I said that correctly. There's like a delicacy to the way they've sculpted it, from like the sashes around her arms and the material of like her pants and just the outfit in general. Like everything just looks so thin and airy. Same goes for her hair. I love how it's tied up, almost like buns, and the flower accessory on top of that is very pretty. Her face is gorgeous, as you would expect. I love how like thin her fingers look as she's playing the flute, and the base is like a scroll unraveling. There might also be some like rocks and water behind that. Can't really tell. They look very smooth, but that's my guess from just looking at this sculpt and not looking at the arts that I've seen in the past, because it's been a few months. This figure is actually based off a very famous piece of Chinese music, which is such a cool idea, like a concept for a figure, but it also makes a ton of sense for it to be Miku that gets a figure like that. I mean, for Good Smile Company, Miku is just the template for creativity, but it's a great idea for her regardless of that. Any company could have done this, and I would still think it's a good idea. Anyway, next up we have A2 from Nier Automata. I believe this is the anime version, which might be why I don't like it that much. I mean, it's sound, it's fine. The extra like dirt they added to her legs and knees is definitely a nice touch. And the pose is good enough, the sword looks sick, but it kind of feels a little bland to me at the end of the day. It's not very dynamic, which is fine, but it also lacks that punch that it might have had if like a different artist was on board with this one. It just feels a little run-of-the-mill for me, which is a little depressing because I really want a nice figure of her, and I haven't seen one that was just like, wow, I need this. It's just like, okay, they're making an A2 compared to the Max Factory 2B, for example. Like, this just is not doing anything like that one was, and I just can't help but feel a little sad about that. But, you know, it also probably will not be that expensive, so if this was like, you know, 18,000 yen or so, I'd be like, alright, that makes sense. Good on you, Good Smile Company. You know the quality will be good here. I just wish they were doing something a little bit more special with her, because she is my favorite character in the game. We also have a figure of L, the Angel Police version. We have seen a figure or two of her before in the past. I believe it was Union Creative that made them, or maybe it was only one. But I feel like this one looks a little bit more impressive, mainly because of her hair. I really like her hair sculpt, how swoopy it is as they curl in on the figure. Her bangs and the hair all around her head look great to me, just a very cute and nice hair sculpt. Her eyes are really nice. That shade of red is great, in my opinion. The outfit's cute. I like the sculpting of the skirt, just like wrapping around the thighs. It's a good figure. Also, the hats is great. Very cute on her, for sure. An action figure from Max Factory. I think yesterday it was labeled as a doll, and it certainly looks more like a doll to me, but there is a new figure of Mama Hinata in the works. I think we did see this at One Hobby, but it's pretty much ready to go. Looks adorable, looks pretty much just like the VTuber, so I think they did a great job here. Really, nothing to complain about, though frankly I don't know her too much. I just remember looking up like art of her before because I had no idea who that character was. Anyway, moving on, Pop-Up Parade of Frieren Throwing Kiss version. Great idea for a figure. A little sad that it's only like a normal small pop-up parade, because I love the winter outfit. Plus you got the 2-for-1 special. She's also blowing the kiss, so you got the best scene where she's wearing this outfit. Certainly looks pretty promising so far. I just, you know, like bigger figures, of course, because that's what I typically collect. We also had the Saya L-size figure from Saya no Uta. Despite being a pop-up parade, I feel like they did a pretty dang good job with this sculpt so far. You know, they're not really doing anything with the base as you would expect, because pop-up parades just don't do that. And I only say that because Saya figures can do a lot with their bases just based off of the visual novel and, you know, the story in it. But I do like that you actually have her wings here. They do look a little simplistic, but that's kind of how they're supposed to be. They're most likely going to be green translucent pieces, and I'm sure it'll look fine. As long as her hair shading looks good and the dress doesn't look too cheap or anything, I think this one's got a lot of promise. Anyway, next up we had the hyper body of Kusanagi Motoko, which is a posable figure made by Good Smile Art Shanghai. I'm assuming this is the outfit they're going for, considering they're showing a very specific scene from the anime, but that's all we pretty much have to go off of. And then we had some Huggy Good Smile figures, which are like 3 to 4 inches, something like that. They're not very big, but they kind of look like plushies. That's the point. We have the whole gang from Eva, very cute, as well as Pom Pom and Sparkle from Honkai Star Rail. These I missed yesterday. The Eva ones, I saw them for sure, but had no idea they were making these too. So even more Honkai figures that I didn't even know about. But that's it for Good Smile Company. Alright, so next up, we're going to talk about Solarain. They had so many figures at this event, I want to say like 30 or so, maybe the most out of any other company. So, yeah, get ready for a pretty big section. Starting us off, though, is another figure of Shinobu, which we have seen in the past, I think, as a prototype. They've changed this one quite a bit from the arts, which I'm not super thrilled about. Like, pretty much everything has changed a little bit. Like the color of the water, it wasn't blue and pink, it was just green, I guess because of the room she was in, but never would have expected these colors. They changed the petals from pink to red, her expression's completely different now, she's licking her lips, which is fine, it's fitting, but I don't know why they changed it in the first place. And yeah, they broke up the tub. They didn't want to give you the whole tub, which is fine, right? That wasn't necessary for this figure to be good, but it's just kind of curious why they would bother to change so much when the art was very good in the first place. I don't know. I mean, the colors are nice here, like even for her hair, which doesn't have much shading, her banana hair usually doesn't. So I think they've done a good job painting this figure. I just think there are some questionable choices regarding just the execution. Also, I don't know if I can zoom in on this, but I'm assuming this will go away. There's like this huge, ugly seam line in her arm, like almost near her elbow. It, you know, that can't be on the final product. That actually looks terrible, unless you can like swap out the pieces for like a different pose. But even then, I think that's like a little too egregious. I don't think anybody would want swappable pieces if that's how it's going to look. Moving on, though, we have a figure of Black Rock Shooter, the Pilot Edition. This one looks pretty sick to me, though I'm wondering if it could really hold up to the plethora of other Black Rock Shooter figures, which are all so impressive for the most part, maybe a dud here or there, but I don't know if this one's really doing a lot to excite, though I do like this Lost in Thoughts version of Black Rock. I think it's pretty cool as she's just like sitting on the cannon, which is kind of like crushing the base as well. The rocks are smashed and flying all over the place as a result. A lot of chains, of course. A lot of the Black Rock Shooter figures have that. Some are wrapping around her leg, and there's one with like a spike at the end. Very pointy stuff. The jacket, how far it kind of flows behind her, it's all shredded up, a little glossy as well. It's a cool sculpt for sure. I just don't know if I'm super impressed with like Black Rock herself. I think I saw this yesterday, maybe I need a zoom in of this or something, but I feel like her face details could have looked a little bit better. We also have a figure of Bambinata Vitrum from Punishing Gray Raven. Now, the quality of this shot is not as good as yesterday, so I'll have to put that in post, but you could tell she's a doll, right? She's like a ballerina doll type character. I really like the color blue on this figure. It's really refreshing, this very light blue they went with. It's a little shiny as well, almost like a metallic blue, and it's an interesting outfit. It's like her top kind of turns into a skirt, but it's like parted all over the place, almost like a flower of sorts. And her hoop hair looks good. She has heart's eyes, which is very cute. And her heels are very spiky, which I thought was cool. And her base is so compact too. That little cushion down there, I can definitely appreciate that. After packing 200 figures, I am very tired. Next up, though, we have everybody's favorite figures, the Dreamy Diva versions of Akane, Rika, specifically Rika, and Yume. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like these the more I look at them. They're definitely exaggerating like everything they can in terms of their proportions, making the thighs ridiculously thick on this figure, making Akane's bust definitely a bit larger than it should be. And I don't know if Yume's any different. I guess she was the most modest between the three, but I'm sure there's some kind of shenanigans taking place here. That being said, The colors are like amazing. I really like how vibrant and bold the palettes are, especially on Rika, but mostly on Yume. I love Yume's palette here and the translucent green sleeves. Maybe it's like that jacket too, that like multi-layer jacket. It's just so bulky, but it looks so good on her. The colors are great. The plush jackets of Rika too, that like really nice blue on the inside, just blue and red, really, blue, red, black. Perfect palette for her. And yeah, I really like the palette on Akane too. I feel like maybe her lips look a little weird. Maybe like they went a little bit too hard on defining her lips. Maybe, it doesn't really look that bad, but from afar it looked a little worse to me. But yeah, I know these were heavily criticized or just like adored, depending on who you ask. And I feel like I'm leaning on the adored side. I mean, I guess I don't like them that much, but I do like them. I feel like I'm greatly warming up to them. Probably wouldn't get them, but at the end of the day, you know, they changed some stuff up. Wouldn't even say it's really their fault. The art did look like this, so they're just following the template. But yeah, you know, they're not really harming anybody. Unless you just like love these outfits so much, but don't like that they changed their proportions too much. Just depends on who you ask. We also have some swimsuit figures from Ryza, Atelier Ryza. There's actually a lot of swimsuit figures from Solarain. But we had Lila, Claudia, and Ryzelyn Stouts. Gotta say, I don't really like any of these that much. I would say Lila looks the best of the three. But Claudia looks so off to me. Ryza too, but the Claudia one bothers me the most. I really like her swimsuit, very fitting for her. But compared to the Wonderful Works negligee figure or the Fat Company Chinese dress figure, I just don't feel like this really looks like her. Maybe it's more based off of the anime, and that would make more sense, but I haven't seen the anime, so I'm not really sure. I just feel like these fall into the lower tier of Ryza figures, especially for Ryza herself. I don't think this one has that much going for it unless you really love this specific swimsuit on her. We also got swimsuit figures for Yumi and Asuka from Senran Kagura. Very busty. They did not hold back on their busts. The inflatables look very realistic here. And I really like Asuka's swimsuit because it almost looks like fabric, but it's definitely not. I do wonder if this is cast-offable. It kind of looks like it just because of this spot right here. But, you know, I could just be bugging. I don't think you see any of that on Yumi. But yeah, comparatively to the Ryza figures, I think the likenesses are much better on these two. And as a result, I think these are much more appealing figures, and the colors are great on both of them. Moving on, we have a very sick figure of Yomu, though this one is up for pre-order, so I'll save it for the next video whenever that happens. I do love this one, though I think it's her best figure, but we'll save it. There is also a recolor of the Reimu, which the original one is not even out yet, but that can also be said about a lot of Toho recolors. They just put them out immediately. Well, not immediately, but shortly before the figure comes out. So, yeah, I think the blue's great, just not as good as the red, but that's a very personal take right there. We had colors red from Solarain to go alongside with blue, as well as yellow. I gotta say, both of them do not really look like they're wearing anything under their jackets. I don't think they're, you know, nude, but I can't tell what exactly they're wearing, you know? But a little saucy for both of them. This girl looks like she's wearing a micro bikini, but she's also that trope of like a shorter, yellow, blonde-haired character with a massive weapon. They love doing that in Japan. I don't know why. I'm also not complaining about it. I usually do dig that thing. But yeah, her hammer looks like a jet hammer. Like that will just, you know, swing at like 200 miles an hour if she activates it or something. But yeah, they're cool. She's got the bow and the quiver actually pulling out one of the arrows, which I appreciate because sometimes they don't really incorporate the whole point of an archer into the scale. So I like that about this one. And I assume she'll be red, and I assume she'll be yellow. That would make sense to me. We also have two more swimsuit figures, one for Mika, the Cheshire Cat, on the left, and the White Rabbit swimsuit version on the right. Pretty straightforward, but I do like what they're doing with their hair. They're both like draping over parts of the figure. For the cat, it's her tail, and for the bunny, it's the inflatable ring. Also, both of their rings match like what animal they are. It's cute stuff for sure. And I do dig them. Also, I guess I should point out, that their bases connect if you buy both of them, but they should be separate releases. We also had a figure of Yuyuko from Toho. Now, here's a bit of a dilemma. This looks really good to me, probably my favorite Yuyuko figure that I've seen recently, even though they're still doing the thing where they have to make it a little bit more suggestive by changing the outfit so she shows a lot of cleavage. I don't really care for that. I like her OG design the most, but Alter, now that they're making a bunch of Toho figures, who's to say they won't make a Yuyuko? So I don't know if I should jump on board and get excited about this one, but I do think it's pretty promising. I do think her face looks great. I have to find another photo of that one to show you guys, but I guess like the main draw of this one for me would be like the elegance and just like, you know, the movement. She's twirling, and then like her fan is creating a bunch of these like energy butterflies. There's also a few spirits around the figure on the bottom and the top. They look like something that I won't get into. You probably know what I'm talking about, but that's, you know, Japanese ghosts sometimes do that. So, yeah, she's great. I like that one a lot. I just don't know if I'm going to go for it. We have a figure of Sonico, the exercise version. Yoga pants. Can't complain about that for Sonico. The shoes are off, though, so you do get to see the grippers, if you like that. And it seems very cold wherever she may be. Some more swimsuit figures from Steins Gate, 3 more actually. Mayuri with the Upa beach ball, of course, she would come with something like that. We have Suzuha with a gun. It's a water gun, of course. And then Kurisu, of course, with her Dr. Pepper. These all look pretty on point. You know, I don't know why, like, the Ryza ones were so off to me, but no complaints so far when it comes to these 3. I think they're pretty solid. Moving on, we have a bunch of announcements. Completely missed this yesterday when I recorded. So we have figures for Kuroneko, one for Misaki. She's been getting a lot of figures lately. One for Angela Balzac from Expelled from Paradise. Might be Balzac. Not sure how you say her name. I still need to see this movie. And then one from Guilty Crown, actually, of Yuzuriha Inori, which I feel like we haven't seen a figure of her in quite a while. Now, the one I did see yesterday was actually this Racing Queen figure of Kurisu, which I really like in concept. Obviously, we don't have the sculpt so far, but it feels pretty clever in my opinion. Like, they've taken both of her outfits that she's known for, the brown jacket and the lab coat, and kind of combined them. So she's wearing this like jacket right now, like the brown jacket, but it's white like the lab coat, so you think about the lab coat, right? And then she still has her shorts, the tights, of course, and a similar pair of boots. I don't think they're the same, but yeah, I think it just, I don't know, it just works super well, and I'm surprised nobody else has taken a crack at this yet, but I like it. I like it a lot. All right, here we go. Now we're going to talk about Apex Toys, probably the next company up that had the most stuff to show. Most companies didn't. They had like 2 or 3 things, but Apex was one of the bigger ones. And on this page, we're going to start off with one that I think a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about. So here we have Kafka from Honkai Star Rail. I know a lot of people were excited about this one, considering the last time we saw her, I got a lot of comments of just like, I cannot wait to pick this up. This is the best figure of the event. And I don't blame them. This figure looks pretty sick. My favorite part is probably her leggings. I love the gradation. Like, the coloring is so good on her legs. And then even outside of like the leggings or tights, you got those very glossy boots with a nice pattern on them. They're very long too. Her legs just look excellent. Though frankly, the entire outfit does. I have no qualms with the outfit whatsoever. The way she's wearing it looks cool, and just like the color combination's great here. Very confident stance and expression, like she has things under control and she knows it. There is a little bit of gradation in her hair. It kind of turns into like a darker purple. And the base is pretty cool too. I'm assuming she's using one of her abilities with like these energy beams just kind of like spiking out of the ground, but it's also shattered the rock and the earth underneath. It's very cool. You know Apex is gonna deliver on this one. It's already looking promising, and this photo isn't even that good. Like, it's pretty blurry, and you can tell it's high quality. So I think that's the mark of something you should get excited about if you like Honkai Star Rail, and definitely if you like Kafka. So next up, we have a figure, or I guess 2 figures, of Yume and Rika in their Chinese dresses. These have turned out pretty good. I feel like originally they didn't look so much like the characters, but I feel like they've really focused on that and definitely made some good attempts to get the art style down. So I like that. and I do like their outfits. I like how these figures are so similar, but like a little different the more you look at them, like the accessories they're holding, the fan, or the dango that might be. The flower patterns are not the same, you know, different colors of course, but the, you know, species of flower is different between the two. You have different like pieces of furniture depending on the figure. You have the stand and the flower. There's also a plant behind Yume, and of course the colors just across the figures are the old rivalry of red versus blue, though there is an Akane coming out. Not really sure what her colors are going to be, though they did show that one off, like the artwork, so you should know if you look up that art, but I don't remember it right now. Definitely like these two, and they're definitely the most like elegant figures these two have. Next up, we have a figure of Taiyi from Aether Gazer. This is the Whispering Waves version. The art style of this figure is very distinct and very different from a lot of the figures that we're going to see in this video. I think she's very pretty as a result, though I guess not really my kind of style, but, you know, no knock against the figure. It's just not something for me. I do like how flower-focused this one is, and I really like her golden heels. You don't see that super often. We have a figure of New Jersey, the Zozo Town version. We've seen Zozo Town figures before, mostly from Union Creative when they were crossing over with Gridman Universe. Wasn't the biggest fan of those. I felt like the execution was just off, even though the outfits they chose were pretty good across the board. But here with New Jersey, kind of loving everything about it. That fishnet top and the mini skirt that's got like the zippers on the side and the opening on the left of her. And then the blue glossy boots look excellent. I like the base just kind of comprised of a bunch of hexagons. And I will say, well, one, I thought she was flipping me off at first, but she's not. She's just kind of pointing to herself. Would have been fine with that. But the thing I wanted to point out was that there's a lot of New Jersey figures, maybe like 4 or 5, but they're all so extravagant and just like massive and super expensive as a result. This one will likely only be around 20 to like 24,000 yen if I had to guess. Hopefully I'm not too wrong on that. But that actually makes this the most affordable, in quotes, figure of her. And that's a good thing, right? Doesn't seem to take up that much space, which is another problem with her figures. They're all just so goddamn big. So if you're a fan of her, but you don't have the money or the space, this could be one to go for. Now this one, ZZ, if I said that right, from 3 Body, was one that stood out to me the last time we saw her when she wasn't painted. And I'm still just as like impressed with this one as I was last time. And a lot of that just comes down to the fan that's in the background. The colors are very pretty too, don't get me wrong. Not the exact palette I was expecting. I thought it would have a bit more of like a warmth to the palette, but it's more on the cooler side, which is fine. I do like these colors a lot. The gradation of the sashes and the pattern running down the sleeves, the big ribbon and the flower behind her. It all looks excellent, right? But they got this tree branch with the birds and the flowers blooming, just like seemingly floating above her, but that's because it's connected to that fan. But it's all done in such a seamless manner that I can't help but be impressed. I like that this figure has a baked-in background that also has like a 3D element to it. It's really clever, it's really different, and it's just nice to see some like innovation in this hobby every now and then. Not that this is mind-blowing, but I think it's a very pretty figure and something that we don't see very often, if ever, even if it's just sticking a tree above a character. Moving on though, I think that's all our painted figures. We have a few more unpainted prototypes. So we'll start here with the Zhao Linger Thunder Fairy version from the Legend of Sword and Fairy. Now we don't get too many Apex figures where they're going pretty hard on like the effects. You got the wind and the lightning striking down there, and like her hair is aggressively flowing up as a result, which I really like. Her hair is so thin. I really hope you don't have to keep that up with some like acrylic rod. That would look really stupid considering it's very high on the figure, so I'm going to assume you don't have to do that. but this sculpt is pretty promising. They even have some like flowers adorning the wind trail, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have a figure from Brown Dust 2, character with a crazy ass name. I think it's Scheherazade, codename S version, so she's in this spy getup. Originally in the art, she's like dodging lasers. You're not going to be getting that, unfortunately, but that would have been very hard to pull off. Instead, you have this like very like shiny latex suit, very form-fitting, of course, very tight all around the figure, though opened at the chest, of course. And it's a unique pose for sure. It's a little silly without like the dodging aspect to it all, but it's pretty effective in other aspects, right? So it's got some promise as well. Next up, we have the Shanghai retrofit version. I'm definitely gonna find some higher quality for this figure because I think it looks extremely good, and I remember it from last time. The pattern on her dress running all the way down her body. I really like the side portions of her dress too, just the way it's opening up. Again, I said this earlier for the ballerina girl from Solarain, but it kind of does look like a flower opening up, and I think it's very pretty. The lantern is a nice accessory, like the handle kind of looks like a snake or something like that. I can't recall exactly. I think it was a snake. Very voluptuous bust, which is, you know, pretty sexy, as well as a very gorgeous face. The hair sculpt looks great. The accessories all running throughout her hair. It just has like a lot of pretty elements to it. A lot of details on this one. Also, yeah, let's just point out her hips. Like, that's a really attractive shape. Like, damn, that's some pretty good stuff. But, yeah, I think that might be it. So here are the rest of the Apex figures. Just announcements, though. We have this saucy one. Here is the New Jersey Midsummer Leisure version. I don't know where you're staring, but you got a couple of options here. So, swimsuit bikini figure. Not sure how much of the beach you're going to be getting with this one. You do have her, like, goofy glasses. You can see them a little bit better on the Manju over here to the left. They kind of look like rabbit ears on New Jersey, so it kind of just like turns around to looking more cute than anything at the end of the day. But yeah, she's also taking a little sippy of her tropical drink. I think the straw is supposed to be a heart. We have a figure of Perseus, the Springs Lackadaisical Leisure version. Everybody's taking a break at Azur Lane. This figure is going to be no pawn, so pretty saucy as well. She's chilling with her owl, which I think is adorable. I'm assuming you're gonna just be getting the bed, not so much anything else in the background. Maybe some more of those like petals, that would be nice. But you have the rotary phone. There's like a book off to the side. Her hair though has a ton of promise, and her outfit is supposed to be, I'm assuming, some kind of Chinese dress, right? That's what it looks like to me. We also have two figures from Nikkei, one for Rosanna and one for Leona. Not too much to go off of here, though we do know that Rosanna is going to be a swimsuit figure, as well as a reverse 1999 figure of Vertin. Crazy concept here if they're gonna go for everything included in this photo, just because you got the window, the chess pieces, the playing cards, the pocket watch. I could just keep going on, right? But it's just going to be an extravagant base if they do put everything they can into this figure. Moving on, we have some Lime Pie figures, which I believe are a budget line. I think that's what these actually are. So Virginia is only going to cost like 6,000 yen from what I remember from the figures that went up for pre-order in this month. I think there was a Lime Pie. But yeah, she is from Unicorn Overlord, which is nice that we're getting so many figures from this series. It's nice that they actually jumped on a Vanillaware IP instead of making us wait so long to get figures from it, because their character designs are just always so good. Also, a lot of the shapes and details in this prototype look very like soft and rounded. I don't know if that's like an art style thing, or if it's just because it's a budget figure. I really cannot tell. And then also from Reverse 1999, we have a Lime Pie of a knight, which I guess is literally a knight, but also invisible. Very interesting. So we're moving on to S-Fire now. They brought 3 figures, all from my Dress Up Darling. So of course, we have a new Marin figure, but as well as that, we have Sajuna as well as Shinju. These are the lovely made versions. I think the one thing of note here is that they're all making hearts differently with their hands. I don't think I've ever seen somebody make a heart like Shinju is with the palms. I feel like that's so awkward. I would say my favorite is Sajuna's with the finger heart. No Korean heart on display. I don't know when this started, but I've been seeing that pop up more and more. It's cute. They're all cute for sure. But yeah, Alter was at this event, and they're actually making Honkai Star Rail figures. This is what I was alluding to earlier. Black Swan, as well as Adventurine. This is a really bad photo. There's definitely a better one floating out there, so I'll grab that for you guys. Early Stages didn't even bring them to the event. I feel like both of these will be pretty exciting. We're actually getting another Altair figure this year, so that's like 4 maybe. Still better than none, right? We're actually getting some male characters from them, so that's great. We have a figure from Luminous box. This is Mia, illustrated by Miyabit. It's just a girl exercising, pretty revealing outfit. Very sweaty as well, but just full exposed. Chest is pretty out there as well. Would not be surprised if you actually get the mirror with this figure, just because I think it was Luminous box that did do that before. Might have been the Guitar Mei figure, if I'm remembering correctly. Hanabi had a bunch of figures at this event, actually, but I'm not super familiar with them, so we're going to zoom in because they have these, like, double shots of the figure and the art. So we have the Fuyuki Minami pajama version from Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. Sculpt looks alright so far, but nothing to really go off of. We got some Skip and Loafer figures, which is pretty cool. They don't look super good so far, but, you know, early days. So you got Shima as well as Iwakura, Mitsumi, and then I guess the arts that they were announcing the figures for. And then there is a bunch of OCs, such as the Summer Love Song Fumizuki Kaio figure, which we can see right here. If it loads, taking forever, so maybe I'm not going to click them anymore. We have the Gal Policewoman Takanashi Arisa. Not bad, not bad. We have the Shion Alphine Cheerleader version. Something I'm noticing with these figures is that none of their faces really look as good as the art, unfortunately. You got Minazumi Kasane, a bunny girl, 1/6 scale. Very glossy chest for some reason. That's nowhere to be found on the arts. But as you can see, like, the faces just don't look great so far on these figures. Blue Bunny Shizuka. We got one for the Holy Water of Angels Milia. Though in the art, it clearly says Holy Milk. Maybe they just didn't want to type that out. I'm assuming it's Holy Milk, considering the bust. I think it makes sense. Also, like the cow horns, it all just adds up. We have the Pest Dr. Kara. I actually like this one just because of her Plague Doctor hat. And she's got like a belt of a few more. We have Rumi, a natural art teacher who suddenly starts taking off her clothes, as you would do, I guess, just to illustrate a point. A bunch more bunny figures. There's a lot of OCs here. This girl looks pretty cool. Soft Summer Mia. I like the fit. Very nice. As well as Belfine. I think I can zoom out now a little bit. So we have a new figure of Kana. Very blurry photo, unfortunately. The Desert Heaven collaboration figure. So I don't know what Desert Heaven is. Is that a brand? Because that's what that sounds like, right? Which, I mean, hey, Kana eating some snacks in like this cute maid style outfit, very like ribbon focused. I'm down for that, but I don't know what they're going for. We don't have a lot of information there. Wing, these two figures of Bach and Hoshino are not new. We've seen them before, but this announcement of Laffy 2, Sleepy on a Busy Day version is certainly new for this event. A pretty elaborate bunny suit, though I think that's because of her hair. Her twin tails are so long, and a lot of the strands are like branching out from the twin tail, so it just looks very busy, right? But you're probably gonna get like the manju on the plate, or the tray rather. I don't know about the ones down there. Would be nice. There's some snacks on the tray, a drink or two, get the bill, of course. And her ears are so goddamn big. That will likely look pretty dang adorable when we see the sculpts. SSR Figure is up next. We sometimes see these guys on Good Small Company. We're gonna skip this one for just a second because they only had 3 figures and the other 2 were just announcements. So we got Kagura Reclaim getting made by the artist Neko, as well as Scarlet designed by Arutera. I believe that's how you say that. Anyway, we also had a figure for the white-haired girl waking up version. Now, in the previous video, I had to pull up somebody's Twitter to get some higher res photos of it. And I have those still, so I guess I might as well use them right now so I could save myself some time editing. But yeah, her neck looks crazy because of the way she's like stretching in bed. and just like contorting her body a little bit. If you view the figure from like above, it looks perfectly fine, but that side view is just so strange that I think it ends up kind of becoming unappealing as a result. It really is like a lesson in, you know, making sure you pick the best places on your shelves for some of your figures. But yeah, that's it for SSR Figure. We also had Alphamax. There are 2 figures in this one photo. So we have the Takao Lessons of Spring version, and I'm wondering if this is going to be a 1/4 scale, because all of Alphamax's Azur figures so far have been 1/4 scales. That's going to be a massive umbrella if this is, but like, I don't know. I do think she looks pretty, and I will say something that I said in the Mega Hobby video with Alters figures, is that I really do think with these Azur characters, they're trying to make the clothing as like see-through as possible without showing any nudity. Like, just, it's so tight and it's so thin that you start seeing their skin through it. It just looks like that to me on the top, and I think that's just like how it actually is for the stockings, but that looks, you know, so apparent that it's not really what I'm talking about. But maybe I just sound crazy right now. I don't know, but they're also making a figure of Bremerton, the pillowed counseling version, which is kind of nuts, because like this outfit for her just got revealed in the game. I don't even play it, and I know that. But not only that, we just got the other Bremerton figure from them, so that figure must have done very good if they're making another figure of Bremerton, and they chose a pretty interesting choice for her. Nobody wants to make her original outfit. I guess that's never gonna happen. But I don't really know if this like Bremerton is for me. This love hotel thing going on, the pillow, the massage oil, just the pose that she's in. I don't know, it's sexy for sure, but not really exactly what I am looking for. Reverse Studio is making a figure of Mary from Goddess of Victory Nikkei. This one shot makes her look genuinely creepy because of her eyes. I don't think it will look that way on the final product, but just a poor photo and maybe a poor prototype, not sure. We also have a new Mushroom Girl, which last time I only saw the art. Now we're seeing the actual figure, though this shot is so bad too. I'll put the art of the figure on screen right now. She's very cute. I love her outfit, and I think the colors are great too. Not even going to try to pronounce the name on this one. I know I will get it wrong, but I do like this line of figures. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen one. They're only on figure 6, and I know there's a bunch of them, so yeah, nice to see them continue the line. We're also getting a figure of Katla Klein from Snowbreak Containment Zone, which I've been seeing a little bit more. I think because of that Azure Paradise thing that's going on in the game. I think this might actually be the character that's part of that's going a bit viral right now. So it's cool to see she's getting a figure. Anyway, we go on to Anigame. We have a new figure of Mai Shiranui from the King of Fighters 97. I think this one looks very bland and boring and lifeless. It doesn't remind me of Mai at all from any game, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Mark of the Wolves, like any of her appearances. This is not it. Like, I don't know. It's not that hard to pull inspiration for a Mai Shiranui figure, but it just looks like a cosplay of Mai Shiranui. There is one for Yorktown 2, Bright Sky Mermaid version. For Azur Lane, very skimpy bikini, not even really wearing it. It's partially off and she has to cover herself with her right arm. I do like the translucent bikini and the sleeves. That's nice. That's really all she's wearing though. Her hat is massive. I do like that. But yeah, just some skimpy, sexy stuff. We also have a figure of Jade, a Good Girls Magic version from Azur Lane. I did talk about this one and compared it to the arts in the previous video, so I'll put that on screen right now. I really like the colors of that art, and I'm hoping a lot of that does come through in this figure, like the blue of the hat and her sleeves, and like the red shadows on the jacket. I don't know if that will be included, but I really hope it is, because I think it just like kind of completes the palette overall. Also, she's going to have fishnets, which you can't tell on the prototype, and I'm wondering if that's going to be painted on, or they're just going to use some kind of fabric instead. And then, yeah, one more from Azur Lane, the Richelieu Fleuron of the Waves version. A lot for a beach figure for sure. Her inflatable ring is massive. She does seem to have her suitcase, some like artillery on the bottom. I like when they make sexy One Piece swimsuits. I feel like I'm saying One Piece like the anime. You know what I mean? It's a One Piece, right? But yeah, I don't know. We don't see that a lot compared to the bikini stuff, and I do like, you know, when they get creative with it, they still want to make it look as attractive as possible. And I think they got something good going on here, though. This is just from the game, so I guess I can't give Anigame like all the credit. They're just following the template, but she looks pretty good. From Animester, we have a figure of Shiroi Usagi Rosu Apron version. This one looks okay. Kind of looks like she's wearing some negligee, like a very nice red negligee. But the apron looks a little dingy. It's not even really like connected properly on the straps. It's like they just kind of glued the front of it to her like negligee and then just like glued the straps to the arms, and it's a little bit too apparent that they did that. And then yeah, from Digigirl we had one figure. This is the My Sister's Friend in a Chinese Dress, most likely a +18 thing because of the tassels covering the chest. I never noticed that Digigirl's logo is just like a mouth licking their lips. That's kind of funny. But anyway, let's jump over to another page. Okay, so I'm gonna save some familiar faces for last, but we do have Hobby Sakura here, who has been making a bit more of a splash lately. A lot more of their figures have been popping up, and I think a lot of people like them. We have this one-eyed Dragon-chan girl. I probably would like it a little bit more in this specific instance if she wasn't so busty, but you know, I know people will love this because she's got like the massive boobs, and that's cool. You know, I just feel like for her specifically, I think I would have liked it a little bit more if she was a bit more modest. I really do like her hair though. I really like the colors on this figure, the few shades of green throughout her hair, very lights at the end of her hair strands, even maybe a little bit too much on like the right here, but it looks great on this side. I like how it's designed by her bangs. The eye patch is sick, and I don't know, the colors are just good. She's very thick too. I got no problem with the hips. They're great. So yeah, I guess I'm just playing favoritism towards certain assets for like no reason on this one figure, but I do like it overall. Anyway, moving on. Enough about that one. We have the Tomoshibi no Majo figure. This is a pretty interesting one. She's like mid-cast of some kind of spell, perhaps? I don't know. The lantern being like the casting item is definitely pretty unique. And I do like that kind of slightly bubbly trail of water just like kind of drooping down the base like some spaghetti or something. I don't know, it looks good to me. It's very smooth. And again, the colors look really nice on this one. I like the palette, but I also just like the shading. And I like her face too, you know? It's a really pretty one. I like it. I feel like I'm forgetting about a figure that I needed to talk about today that wasn't from yesterday. I don't know if it's in this part of the video though. I'll make sure to find it. But here we have the Elf Sister. It says sister. I don't know if they're 2 in 1, maybe? Really makes me think of the Elf Village line from Vertex. I don't know if these two are associated with that. They could very easily fit in if they wanted to. But yeah, one's a knight, one's a caster. Very different, like, you know, in terms of their outfits, but very similar palettes, green and white. Overall, I got that nice blue on the blade, the red on the inside of the cape with the crosses. The colors on the knight are so much better, but I will give it up to the mage or the summoner that her braided hair looks great. I love her hair a lot more than the knight. Not so much a competition, but just pointing out the things that I like about each. Belly button on the knight also looks a lot better. Anyway, moving on, we have this girl, the Rabbit Girl alt color version. So I do remember this one going up for pre-order. Palette was like a blue and black color scheme, I think. This is the figure where her feet are just like right in your freaking face because she's like lifting them up and holding them to you. And they made sure to sculpt those toes as like wonderfully as possible. But yeah, I remember not really loving it because of just, I don't know, the design doesn't really work for me. The big glasses aren't really my thing, but it's a recolor. That figure might even be out at this point. But yeah, this one's kind of crazy. I don't know how much of this like base you're getting. Like, are you getting both, actually 3 tables with this holo? I have no idea. But yeah, this is kind of nuts. I don't think we have a holo figure that looks quite like this. Why does this photo though have to be so zoomed out? I want to see more. If there's better shots, I'll give it to you guys, but I don't have time to be hunting right now, so unfortunately, this is the best I have. I can tell she's eating some chocolates from a hearts, you know, maybe it's Valentine's Day or something. She's got a present off to the side, a plushie of Lawrence, that's adorable, but yeah. Also, this outfit's just super cute on her, and I love that it's red. It's a great color for her, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm stuck here. Okay, backing out. We had some prototypes, one for the elf wife Yurie, which, okay, elf wife, but in like a more modern dress. I could dig that for sure. No face, unfortunately. And then the cane bunny. Again, I hate when these figures don't have faces. At least I can get a tell if I would like the figure once it has the eyes on it, because without the eyes, maybe the eyes are the most important part, because without the eyes, the figure becomes lifeless. But it's a good pose. I like her twirly hair too. The spirals are nice, but I definitely need to see her face. It just doesn't really work for me. Anyway, we're on Astrum Design. I don't know if this is their only figure. It is. This one's insane. Who is this? This is the New Moon Luna figure. I wish they didn't have the arts like right behind it, because it's kind of getting in the way of like what I'm looking at. You know, the dragon tail and the red tassels. But yeah, she looks really cool. Her outfit is definitely like draconic. Would that be the right word to say for like dragon-like? I don't know. I don't think that might be correct, but now that I say that, you know what I mean. The spear is sick. I love the design of this spear. Almost looks like a claw in a way, you know, but it's also like dipped in gold. A lot of glossy red and white bits surrounding it. Base looks like a summoning circle. Pretty cool. Her stance shows off her legs and her butt, I'm sure. Pretty busty with the side boob. Very pretty face. Not really a lot of like shading in her hair from what we can see in this one crummy photo, but might get better considering a lot of the rest of the figure looks pretty damn well painted. Anyway, let's go to MAGI Arts. They had like 4 figures or so, including a new Katsuragi Misato figure, which is nice to see considering, you know, while she does have a lot of figures, it's kind of like a drop in the bucket compared to, you know, Asuka or Rei. Now, I am kind of curious what they're going for here. Like, is this going to be a straight up lying down figure, or are they actually gonna give it to you at this like 65-degree angle or whatever it is? Kind of hard to see, because they are keeping it up with like some adhesive, looks like gum down there. But the sculpt is pretty promising regardless of all of that. I do think her hair looks very pretty as it's kind of like laid all over the floor. I think the jacket, the way it's creasing, the dress looks really nice, kind of hugging the legs a little bit. Her fingers look nice and thin and very delicate. And I do like the base that you're getting, even though it is kind of big, so that might be a pain in the ass, but it does look pretty nice so far. This one is unfortunately not updated, nothing new about her, which is kind of a shame. Looks stunning, but I'm sure nobody wants to paint this because look at the detail of this sculpt. Like, yeah, I bet it's pretty annoying. We have a new figure of Komechi Satori, the third eye version, to go along with their sister Koishi, who does have a figure from MAGI Arts. In fact, MAGI Arts has like 5 or 6 Toho figures right now, which is really cool. I love how much Toho we're getting lately. These from MAGI Arts all have this like doll-like appearance to them. Not my personal preference, though I do love that they keep giving you like a bunch of accessories and like faceplates, especially with Reimu. She had like 5 faceplates for some reason. Love stuff like that. And I bet this figure is going to look pretty good too. The eye interwoven into the figure looks very nice. It's a very frilly interpretation of her outfit. Normally she does have frills, but this almost looks more like a maid outfit to me. Could be wrong, we'll see when it gets colored, but just based off like the design of the top and then like the frills on the bottom, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And yeah, I bet it'll be painted really nicely just like the others, but I don't know if I'm gonna love the face, because I don't really love the faces on any of them so far. But again, that's just a personal thing. We have a new figure of Saya from Saya no Uta. You probably won't be getting the wings if they're actually going for this art, but I think I'm okay with that just because, one, they seemingly are doing a lot with the base, which will probably be very interesting, and it also just makes both figures very different. And you don't want every sculpt to look like super similar or exactly the same, then it's boring. So it's nice to just get different versions of Saya, right? Yeah, it seems like they might also be doing a translucent thing here with like her dress, just like ever so slightly by the edge of it. We're also getting a new Sophia F. Shearing figure from Bunny Suit Planning. It's essentially a reverse bunny suit, if that makes sense. They're kind of just like swapping what's being revealed, right? Now, Star Expa is making a pretty extravagant, massive figure for Persona 5. Here we have Panther and Carmen. This just feels like a dream type of figure for a Persona 5 fan, assuming you want something this big, of course, just because you have a ton of figures of the main cast, but you don't have so many of the personas themselves. Certainly not where they're like in one sculpt, kind of like working in tandem, right? Something like that would cost so much money, which is why companies just don't do that unless it's third-party resin. In fact, this does just straight up look like a third-party resin figure. It is officially licensed, it says Atlas and Sega down there, but it just has like the makings of a third-party resin to me. Just the multiple characters, the flames on the bottom of the base, the name of the franchise down there. I'm sure this is a massive statue, and I should say this is a statue, so probably be very heavy, probably gonna cost a ton to ship. You should prepare your wallets if you want this, but I think it's cool. I don't think we have a single figure of Carmen. Could be wrong about that, but kind of love it. Pretty sweet, if you ask me. They're also making a figure of Claire from Claymore. This has a exploding base, pretty much. Not that there's actually something blowing up, but like the rocks are just like shooting all over the place. The smoke trails are following right behind it. She's lunging forward, both hands on the handle, ready to swing the blade down. Pretty sick. Again, another situation where I wish I had the higher res photos right now so you could see like her face. You could barely see her face in this photo. You could see like the texture on the cape and her clothes, like the armor. It looked awesome up close, but unfortunately I don't have that right now, so I'll probably give it to you guys in post. But yeah, Ascendia. Here is the Bunny Suit Planning Sophia figure that I just really don't like. I mean, this should be a budget figure, but their proportions are so funky. They had to like up the bust for no reason. But even if they did that, I just feel like the head looks so tiny on this body that they had to like adjust things a little bit more to make it just look a bit more natural. It just comes off as like amateurish, and I hate saying that. I feel like that's super rude to say, but I don't know. Like, I don't even think this company is bad per se. They make a lot of cheap stuff, like affordable 1/6 scales, which is great in this economy, but man, I don't like this figure of her. I like this outfit, but the art legit looks like 10 times better than this figure, and I can't get that out of my mind. There is also a figure of Amethyst, which is another 1/6 scale. It's like a cow demon, which I kind of like. I'm gonna call her outfit lingerie. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what it looks like to me. I really like the pearls going all the way around her chest. I think that's pretty sexy. I also like her skeletal tail and her horns, but also like the hair draped over the tail. That's a nice touch. Pretty face too, but unfortunately the photo is not the best either. Some of these shots are just not super great. We also have some additional figures such as the Lily Nun as well as the Emily Nurse. There is Seraphim as well as Mary. So check these out one more time, and then we'll move on to our last one because I forgot one. This is Machi. I think she looks okay. Unlike the other 4 or 5 girls, I feel like they put a little bit more emphasis into her chest sculpt, actually like wrapping around her leg in like a semi-realistic manner, right? Looks a lot better than just, you know, everything else they went with for the other sculpts. Even though they're not supposed to be doing anything special, I just think it looks better there. There was also some 1/6 scales for Hikari and Natsu, some bunny girls, but again, very low res, unfortunately. I really like her hair. I think her hair looks great. And then we jump over to Ribose with a figure that wasn't in my previous recording. Here we have the Hatsune Miku Fantasia Witch version, which is the figure I was thinking of earlier. I love this concept. I think she looks super cool here. I don't know if I love everything about it in terms of like the paint and the shading, but I do think conceptually this one slaps pretty hard. Her expression looks pretty serious. I love the way she's holding the book and striking the pose. Her fingers are like in a very specific like stance. I just really like the pose of this Miku and just the summoning of a spell. You even have like the summoning circle off to the side there. Something else about this figure that I'm kind of just remembering now is I think they changed like the art style a little bit, and probably for the worse. Like her eyes, while I do like them right now, they totally look different on the art, and I think that might be off-putting for some people. But you know, depending on price, depending on like the execution of the shading and the sculpts, it could still be a good figure. But I guess I shouldn't get like too ahead of myself on this one, because they did change some stuff for like no reason, which is a bit of a shame. We also have the Rabbit Flova figure. This one also looks pretty good to me, and I don't have a problem with the way they're painting it. In fact, I think it looks really nice. Like that wood grain of the chair looks like pretty damn well handled. Also, the flowers are like inked on the inside, like the they like pop a little bit because of the black paint on the inside. Looks really nice. Even the shading of her hair and her ears, the tail, it's all really good to me. And this photo is pretty dark and could be a bit better, so I bet that'll look even nicer when she goes up for pre-order. I think everything else, though, is unpainted, unfortunately. Like the Kaide and Suzu Catgirl figures. We had a figure of Anchorage Dakimakura version from Azure Lane. I feel like a lot of people were pretty excited about this one. She looks pretty good. Her hair splayed out all over the bed. 3 manjus on this one. Also, I know not everybody's going to care about the feet, but you gotta admit they sculpted them pretty nice. Those toes look pretty dang good, but I bet they won't look as good on the final product. We also have a figure of Jingwan from Honkai Star Rail. In fact, I think we have another figure from Honkai Star Rail, the Silver Wolf, the Gamer. She's playing her, like, Vita. That looks like a Vita to me. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but she's cute. Like the cat hanging off her shoulder, too. That's pretty precious. Speaking of cats, we also have the Tea Time Cats Siamese cat Azuki. She almost looks like she's about to cry, but maybe she's just like pouting a little bit. I love this, like, I'm assuming plushy cat. That's really cute. I'm assuming it's a Siamese cat, of course. That would make sense. And then we had the orange cats as well as the lemon cat. I think this one might be a recolor. I feel like I've seen this figure before, but with different colors. But it's not a bad idea to make some recoloring of these cat figures, especially because they are on the cheaper side. Anyway, I think that might be it outside of... Oh, wait, no, we have the Photo Frame Cat Desktop Series. This one's kind of strange. You got the feline-like pose, but the human face, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just going to say that straight up. I don't like it. And then we had a bunch of trading figures from Honkai Star Rail. I think like 10 or so, or 9 rather. But yeah, that's cool. A lot of like mini figures from Honkai Star Rail. So yeah, this page is going to be our last of the video, and hopefully there's some good stuff on here. First up is going to be Prime 1 Studios. And I know I'm going to have to add some extra photos to this gallery because you need to see the quality of some of these, like the Femto Legacy Art Collection figure. This one, like up close, looks so good. The colors are stunning. And I love how like grotesque the Egg of the King is that he's hatching from, essentially, right? Like the teeth and the eyeballs, the nose down there. Another example would be Makoto with Johanna, which I guess is very similar to the Anne figure we saw a couple of minutes ago. But Amakuni did also make a figure like this. This costs like over $2,000, so I don't want to get your hopes up. Can't even really get a good look at her face in this one shot, but I'm sure I'll get you something a lot better. And then you can marvel at it, and then probably not pick it up, because it's $2,000 or more dollars. We also had a figure of Guyver 2. I think this is like the female version of Guyver. I feel like I did also see the normal blue Guyver gets a Prime 1 Studios figure, which I guess would make sense. You would probably do him first. But yeah, Guyver is awesome. In design, I don't know how good the show is. I should watch it one day. Just one of those like legacy series that just ever so often pops up at these events, usually from Max Factory, but I bet Prime 1 Studios can do a great job with the IP as well, if not even better. Moving on to Prisma Wing, though, we did have a new shot of the Eye figure from Oshino Co. This photo makes the colors look so gaudy. I don't know if this is what the figure is going to look like, but I really don't like her dress that much right now. I think the only part of this figure I do like are the balloons behind her. Even the speakers look very cheap to me. I mean, we're not shorts on good eye figures, but this one's just, I don't know. I'm gonna just assume the colors are off because of the photo. It doesn't really look that well taken, but I don't know about that one. Albedo is getting a 1/4 scale. Apparently Prisma Wing and not Prime 1 Studios. I don't know if that even matters. I think I made the point to talk about how like the polystone or higher quality material will be really good for stuff like the skeleton hand, which I'm assuming is Ain's, as well as like the stone pillar and the gold that's like circling it. But maybe not great for like her dress, which looked a little bit rough up close. I'm not sure if it should have a texture. I always assumed it was supposed to be like super smooth. I like how they also just kept it very traditional with Albedo. She has so many weird, crazy figures because she's one of those like super popular characters that gets every type of figure and every different style of outfit because people just love her that much. But they just, you know, kept it traditional, kept it iconic, went with the white dress, as they should have done, and I do appreciate that. We have a figure of Yoshino from Date A Live splashing in the water, very cute. Feel like it's been a bit since we've seen a figure of her. Hopefully they do her justice, because I'm not really the biggest fan of Prisma Wing, frankly, but they usually do have some good concepts. Their concepts and their like bases are usually great, but they usually like fumble on like the faces and stuff like that. Or just sometimes like the shading. Here is the Prisma Wing 1/4 scale figure of Saber. Now this one was at Fate Fest, but like an asshole, I forgot to talk about it. Just missed it, unfortunately, so might as well talk about it now. You do get two options with this figure in terms of a pose, where she's looking very noble with the sword kind of planted in the ground a little bit, and then one where she's using the Excalibur and like the energy and wind is circling it, more of like a spiral, right? Best part about this figure, in my opinion, are the details and sculpting of the outfit. Like, look at her sleeves, which I'm going to add in post. That shit looks immaculate. Actually so impressive, the sculpting of her armor. This figure looks so good. The base is so like overdone too, but in a good way. You got the knights on the side, some swords sticking into the ground too. Very ornate in the pattern work. I'm sure this figure is going to be like a masterclass, but you know, it will also likely cost $1,700 or something, as you would imagine. Here is the Prisma Wing Ranko Awakened Devil Lord version. I'm going to grab another photo of this one because I really like it. It's kind of wicked in its execution. Like, that scythe looks so badass and so edgy and overdone. Has a very like Chunibyo vibe, just like her outfit, her pose, like the hand to the eye, right? But there's like this fun perspective thing, like the very tiny miniature castle in the back, but it kind of looks like she's leaping forward a little bit. You got those bats on the bottom of the base, which I'm assuming will be like a dark color with a very like bright yellow eye, similar to the scythe eye. I'm sure those will match up. You know, I kind of just love everything about it. I do have a soft spot for these Idol Girl figures. No idea what the colors are supposed to be. I'm assuming the palette will be very dark, as it should be, but I guess depending on how they handle that will determine how much I truly like this in the end. Here we have the BN Figure Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny Freedom Gundam vs. Destroy Gundam. Frankly, I don't even really know what I'm looking at. I believe, and I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit, this, if my mouse is, I think it's on screen right now, the back piece, that's the Destroy Gundam. I think the Freedom Gundam is here, like, stabbing him in the chest. And, yeah, I can't really tell what else is going on. There's, like, all this smoke coming out of this piece right here, but the trails look awesome. And just, like, the energy burst from the saber right there. A lot of destruction, a lot of carnage. Probably, like, a very memorable scene from the series if I had to guess, but I have not seen Seed just yet. People tell me not to watch it. People say it's bad. I don't know if that's true. I'll probably give it a go eventually, but I think the coolest thing here is actually getting like a static scale figure of Gundam. I mean, I don't know what the scale of this would be, but everything's model kits, which are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love making model kits, but we don't see stuff like this. It's just cool, you know, when we see stuff that doesn't get made super often, when we see like something limited to Nendo's figure arts actually getting scale figures or vice versa. It's just nice to see different types of figures for franchises that seem kind of restricted or limited to only one type of figure. So this is awesome. I don't know what BN Figure is. Sorry, that's Hoshino. I don't know what this company is. Never heard of them before. Probably going to cost a gazillion dollars, but I think this is one to look out for if you like Gundam. Actually, you know what? I think these last two are the final figures in this video. So I'm going to save the Miku for last. This is Miku. And just very quickly show you that they are making a new Harley Quinn. I should have mentioned that this is Kaiyodo that are making these two figures from Suicide Squad Isekai, which I don't know anything about. You guys can tell me if that's good. There are a bunch of posable figures from this company too. That's typically what they do, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that, which I love, but I can only talk about so much in these videos, and I typically, you know, talk about the static scale stuff. But anyway, here we have a new figure of Miku. This is the Hatsune Miku 2024 anniversary version. Now, I did pull up the art that this figure is based on because I think it's pretty important to be able to understand what the sculpt is going to eventually look like. I don't think this sculpt really leaves the biggest impression. Frankly, I thought this was like Rosa from Pokemon at first, just like aged up because of like the bun hair. But no, it's obviously not that. I will say, does kind of suck that her twin tails do need to be supported like this. It's always worse when the twin tails stop like halfway or even higher than that, because like the acrylic rods just have to go so much higher up the sculpt rather than if they were like lower to the ground and you would just have like these tiny little nub stands keeping them up. You probably wouldn't care about that too much, but here it's definitely gonna bug ya. I do feel like her face is not coming across as like pretty as it does here, and certainly you're not seeing any of the patterns throughout her design, like the digital pattern down on the thigh high or like the half circle over here. It kind of looks like a film reel sorta. Not so sure, but there's a lot of stuff like that throughout her design. And zooming in, you might have missed that like her hair is braided a little bit. You would not know that she has like yellow highlights in her hair. There's those film reels again. I think that is what it's supposed to be. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think of. Also, I really like these ribbons that are just fluttering all throughout the figure. That is represented on the scale as well. I think it's a very neat visual. I do like this glamorous pose that she's striking. I think that's great. But, you know, I don't know about Kaiyodo's like scale figure quality. I do know they make some pretty good posable stuff, but I never hear about their scale figures. So who's to say? We'll see in the future. Hopefully they do a good job on this one. I dig the colors, I dig the design, but just gotta see if they could actually pull it off. But that is gonna do it for our Wonder Festival 2024 Shanghai video. 2 events in like 1 week or so. I'm hoping to get this video out on Saturday or Sunday at the latest. I should be able to pull that off. I just have to edit this all. I think the recording was actually shorter than last time, and I talked about more. So I'm going to consider this a win. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Take care and have a good one. Later. Hey, so how's it going, everybody? I just wanted to say very quickly that there were some additional figures that I didn't get a chance to talk about, or truthfully, I did talk about them, but my god, I had like nothing to say and I felt kind of bad about it, leaving it in the video. So I'm making this a slideshow at the end just to show you some additional stuff. There are some figures that I felt a little iffy about showing just because of YouTube guidelines. That's typically how it goes at OneFest, so you can find those linked in the description down below. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon for the next one. Peace.